When people think of Borderlands, they think about a lot of things. They might think about the guns, the loot, the wacky NPCs, or the cel-shaded art style. But what I don't think a lot of people think about is just how difficult Borderlands is sometimes. Now, early on, the first couple of playthroughs may not be so bad. However, Ultimate Vault Hunter mode can actually prove to be fairly difficult. In fact, upon Ultimate Vault Hunter mode's release, many people were really surprised at just how hard it was. And to this day, if you scour the internet, you can find articles and old forum posts that talk about just how hard Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is. So today, I figure we could talk about whether Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is actually too hard or not. But without further ado, let's talk about some of Borderlands 2's other difficulties. As I'm sure many of you know, Borderlands 2 has 3, perhaps 4 difficulties. You have Normal mode, which covers level 1 to 30, you have True Vault Hunter mode, which covers level 30 to 50, and Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, which covers level 51 to 72. Now, you could argue that the overpowered level difficulties could make up a group of difficulties, which may constitute a 4th playthrough, but the only difference from Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is that enemies in the overpowered levels tend to have higher damage reduction due to the player's level. So for our purposes, we will be discussing the 2 later difficulties, which are True Vault Hunter mode and Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Compared to normal mode, True Vault Hunter mode tends to be more difficult because enemies tend to have a little more health, there are more badass type enemies, and there are also brand new enemy types that have higher resistances. And it's also worth mentioning that due to the nature of Borderlands 2's exponential scaling for weapon damage, you may find that weapons become far weaker, far faster than they did in normal mode. And I think a great example of this is if you compare a level 30 Sandhawk to a level 50 Sandhawk. The level 30 Sandhawk can have a base damage around 300 or so, however a level 50 version can have a base damage of around 3500 to 3600 or so. And while there isn't much of a difference between each individual level, say from going to 31 to 32 or maybe 48 to 49, there is a big difference over a larger level span. Generally though, this problem can usually be counteracted by making sure your level matches or exceeds the level of the enemies that you're fighting, and by making sure you're using the highest level weapons possible. In fact, Borderlands 2's normal and True Vault Hunter modes are actually quite easy, assuming the level of your weapons and gear matches the level of your character, and your character's level matches the level of the enemies that you're fighting. But now it's time we discussed Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Now, compared to True Vault Hunter mode, some things like the exponential weapon damage scaling do carry over. However, other things are noticeably different. Specifically, all enemies with the exception of bosses have quadrupled maximum health and also have constant health regeneration. But the most notable trait for Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is the increased emphasis on the importance of Slag. Compared to True Vault Hunter mode, Slag's effects last far longer, and slagged enemies now take triple damage instead of the standard double damage like we've seen in the 2 previous difficulties, Normal and True Vault Hunter mode. Furthermore, enemies in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode scale to the level of the highest player. So for example, if you're playing in a multiplayer lobby and 3 of you are roughly level 51 or 52, and then a 4th person joins in and is a level 58 character, all of the enemies will scale to the level 58 player. Plus, because your level is so much lower than all of the level 58 enemies you would be fighting, those enemies will gain damage reduction, making them much harder to kill. What it all comes down to is the combination of quadrupled enemy health, plus the enemy's health regeneration, as well as the need for Slag, that can make Ultimate Vault Hunter mode such a shock your very first time. Especially because in Normal and True Vault Hunter mode, as long as you had good weapons and your level matched the level of the enemies that you were fighting, you didn't really ever need Slag. In fact, I remember the first time I got a headshot with my level 50 sniper rifle on some Ultimate Vault Hunter mode enemies, and normally in True Vault Hunter mode, that headshot would have been a one-hit kill. However, in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, that level 50 sniper rifle will only deal a moderate amount of damage, and by the time you get another shot off, the enemy you're fighting may have regenerated all of its health. I think another reason Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is difficult is because it's somewhat counterintuitive to the earlier playthroughs of Borderlands 2. And as an example, earlier playthroughs of Borderlands 2 will allow the player to experiment more with their build. However, in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, you're basically required to optimize your build. And as an example, for True Vault Hunter mode, you might be able to get away with playing Axton as a sniper, maybe a melee Maya character, or by playing Zero as more of a tank. However, in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, you're better suited to playing something that emphasizes your character's strengths, like a sniper or melee Zero, a Maya with phase lock and ruin, or explosive Axton. This is all compounded by the fact that when Ultimate Vault Hunter mode was first released, many characters' skills weren't properly balanced and thus became effectively useless. And while it is fixed now, and I want to make that point clear, a great example would be Maya's Cloud Kill, which was a waste of a skill point at one time. However, after Gearbox fixed Maya's Cloud Kill, it may be one of her one-point wonder skills for the earlier game and is actually pretty decent throughout the entire game. There are other situations where, let's say you min-maxed a melee Death Trap build for Gage. However, due to the numerous bugs with Death Trap, this playstyle is simply not that viable. So there's a good chance that even if you put together a dedicated Death Trap build as Gage, by the time you reach Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, it's no longer viable due to the fact that certain skills haven't been properly balanced for the new difficulty and because of Death Trap's numerous bugs. So between the fact that you usually have to min-max your build and quite a number of skills were, and some still are, poorly balanced, that basically means you're forced to build your character in one of two, possibly three ways in order to be viable for Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Additionally, a lot of Ultimate Vault Hunter mode's difficulty extends to the viability of a lot of Borderlands 2's weapons. There are quite a number of weapons that may have been more viable in normal or True Vault Hunter mode that actually kind of suck in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. And as an example, non-elemental damage generally tends to be inferior to elemental damage, and this is because elemental damage applies damage over time effects, and it's also because elemental bonuses from your gear or your skills are multiplicative, which tends to provide a greater increase in damage over the additive bonuses that are provided by gun damage bonus, and that would, by extension, benefit non-elemental weapons. So this isn't to say that something like the Becca or the Gatling gun are bad weapons, but elemental variants of weapons do tend to be more powerful because the damage increases received from elemental bonuses tend to be greater than the damage increases that you receive from gun damage bonus. Another issue with Ultimate Vault Hunter mode and specific weapons is critical hit damage. In Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, you're going to want to score as many criticals as possible to bring down enemies faster. However, there are some weapons like grenade and rocket assault rifles that are completely incapable of performing critical hits, and because these assault rifles weren't properly rebalanced to be effective in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, they end up being far weaker than they should be. But perhaps the worst affected weapons by Ultimate Vault Hunter mode are E-Tech weapons, and while effective and even overpowered in normal and True Vault Hunter mode, E-Tech snipers, shotguns, assault rifles, and pistols are utterly atrocious in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode because they simply consume too much ammo per shot, and their inferior critical bonus leads them to deal far less damage on a critical hit than a similar purple rarity weapon. So just to recap, it's a combination of things that make Ultimate Vault Hunter mode really difficult. It's everything from the quadruple enemy health, the enemy health regeneration, the emphasis on slag, the inability to kind of experiment with your build, and the need to have to optimize your build, and it also comes down to the poor optimization and poor balancing of certain skills and weapons. But it's probably time we answered the question. Is Ultimate Vault Hunter mode too hard? Well, yes and no. However, before I discuss why Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is too hard, we should go ahead and discuss why Ultimate Vault Hunter mode really isn't that bad, because I haven't really provided that side of the story. The fact is, Slag makes Ultimate Vault Hunter mode way easier, and if you can obtain a method of slagging enemies that is independent of your currently equipped weapon, like using a grenade or using an action skill, then you're pretty much set for Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. The best part is that all of the characters usually have a skill that allows them to apply slag, and as an example, Axton has Double Up, which allows his turret to fire slag projectiles, Maya has Ruin and Scorn, Zero has Kunai through Death Blossom, and Gage has Interspersed Outburst. And other characters like Sal can dual wield, meaning you should rarely, if ever, have to swap a weapon in the first place. And as far as slag grenades go, you're going to want the magic missile, and if you have that, you can basically just throw that, the enemy's slagged, and then you can finish it off with weapons. Alternatively, you can use slag transfusion grenades, which can also slag, but will also heal you via these healing orbs that have to take a little while to come towards you. But what I'm getting at here is that if you do have an alternative slag method, it's going to make Ultimate Vault Hunter mode way easier. Something I haven't really talked about yet in this video's defense, as enemies do hit pretty hard in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. And while your approach to defense will differ with each character and your build for that character, using something like a high capacity shield like a turtle shield or having massive health regeneration tends to work best. And you may also want to employ at least 1 or 2 Moxie weapons and always carry the Grog Nozzle. That way, during a fight, you can simply swap to the Grog Nozzle and then throw a grenade to heal off of the damage that's being dealt. Or if you're using a strong Moxie weapon like the Hail, Kitten, Slow Hand, or Heartbreaker, you should also be able to throw a grenade and heal off of the grenade damage. Plus, once the enemy is slagged, you can easily finish them off with your Moxie weapon and also heal off of the damage that you've dealt there. I guess what I'm getting at here is that Ultimate Vault Hunter mode mostly just takes a little bit of practice to get the hang of. For example, scoring consistent criticals will make enemies go down far faster, or knowing when to hide or how to avoid attacks will also go a really long way as well. And thankfully, things like learning to use slag, trying to get the proper defense, and learning to dodge, get critical hits, and all of that stuff can be mastered relatively easily, provided that you play through the game and get used to it. With all of this said, and while I personally don't think that Ultimate Vault Hunter mode is that bad anymore, I can definitely see why people would think that. Not only because the increase in difficulty is quite significant, but I also think Borderlands 2's Ultimate Vault Hunter mode was really difficult in large part due to the poor balancing. And as I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of skills, abilities, and weapons that were not, and some still are not, properly balanced. While some things like the viability of non-elemental weapons just comes down to Borderlands 2's own mechanics, other things like Cloud Kill, Death Trap's AI, and the improper balancing of certain skills really make something that is already supposed to be really difficult unnecessarily more difficult. At the end of the day, though, I think most of these concerns are fixed by simply balancing everything to be more in line with Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, as opposed to trying to balance everything across all 3 difficulties. But again, is Ultimate Vault Hunter mode too hard? Well, again, yes and no. And I would say no, because there's a good chance that you may not have a good grasp of the mechanics yet. However, at the same time, and in your defense, there are a lot of questionable balancing decisions that were made, and there are a lot of bugs that have been yet to be addressed. Even still, I would say that Ultimate Vault Hunter mode may be hard, but I think it's definitely beatable with the right strategies. And I suspect that, like the pre-sequel, where the Ultimate Vault Hunter mode for that game was a lot better balanced, I think Borderlands 3's Ultimate Vault Hunter mode will also be a lot better balanced. But alright guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like, click the bell to join the notification squad, and as always, take care, and I'll see y'all next time.